Bismillah ar-Rahman rahim Alhamdulillah wa Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu wassalam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hayla wa salam bikum. Salamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lil ikhwani wati fi din. Salamu ala mani tabahuda lil ikhwani wati fi Africa, Europa, America, Caribbean, wa kulli makan. To my Forbay community, Anjarama, as-salam, Jautali, Jamwali, Alhamdulillah, Jam. Okay, brothers and sisters, today, this is a special topic. If those who've been following, and everyone should follow what has happened in our solar system. It's very, very important that you know. And we as Muslims should be kept abreast on latest developments. The Muslim, his way and means is that he's always one step ahead of everyone else. In the situation we have here now, it's very confusing. If you pull up YouTube and some of the other channels, it's so confusing. They're talking about this 3I/Atlas so-called comet, and you get all kind of conjecture and everything else, make everything so confusing to the point where you don't want to watch it because it's so confusing. Now added to it, we have a new one. Now they call I forgot 32 Swan or something like this, which is 100 times bigger. And so this situation is very fluid right now. But brothers and sisters, our ancestors were already talking about this well before there was NASA, well before they made these discoveries here. Thousands of years before that time, they had already talked about this. So we're going to get into that. And I'm hoping, brothers and sisters, that you're doing well and that everything is going well for you today. And I don't expect too many people to come. It is a special topic. Many people don't really care about it, but you should as a Muslim, because it does affect us. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala has made quite a bit of information in the Quran concerning this, which we'll get into that. One of the things that we have to talk about, and I'm going to get into this, is the let's see if we get it here. We have to say something about this. One of the things that is very disturbing is this factor here that I listed here. The contention to discredit our Kim-to-you Sufi Shaykhs and Kim-to-you ancestors and their divine knowledge has caused embarrassment to our enemy, both Tubab and Black Tubab. We have brothers and sisters even among us. And you know that old African slavery saying is same skin, but not, I forget how it goes now. Yes, they're skin folk, but they're not kin folk, meaning, yes, they may have the same, but they not our kin. And this, in this regard here, where they discredit because they have limited amount of knowledge. So they go ahead and discredit these fabulous, our ancestors, Fulani, Afro-Arabs, who were Sufi Shaykhs, who talked about this issue well before NASA and all these other agencies now are running amok trying to figure it out. They had already discussed this. We have contention among people who believe that they will say, oh, they're just talking, because their limited amount of education tells them that they have to retrieve it from a book. My contention to them is this: how about our ancestors in ancient Kemt, Mary? When they charted out the solar system, what book did they use? Who wrote this book? To some European? Because contention is a book should be written by a Tubab, and you use that book and you use his knowledge in order to convey the knowledge. Divine knowledge that we're talking about here, which we call in the Arabic language, ma'arifa. It's been handed down for centuries upon centuries. They charted out the solar systems without the book of the Tubab. So that's important. And we have others because of limited amount. Again, they're not Muslims. They don't have the belief system that in order for them to help them to understand. They in turn back their Tubab historian brothers in denouncing Kim to you scholars, Kim to you Sufi Sheikhs, Kim to you ancestral wise men, discrediting them because they didn't pick up a book from the Tubab. So when our ancestral brothers begin to speak with the lions, they discredit that because they say you can't prove it. Even if you show the pictures of our ancestors with the lions, they still back their Tubab brothers. See, this is in contention again as I speak. I'm going to give you something that's very interesting, and I want you to really open your minds on this. This is coming from our Black ancestors. Kim to you. Kim to you means black people. Kimti is me, one man, one person is Kimti. We're going to get into it because this is very important, brothers and sisters, because when you look at YouTube, they're saying this particular comet is racing by the sun. It's on its way to Mars. It's getting close. Some even said that the trajectory could hit Earth and so forth and so on. And you should understand what's going on. But I had to bring this point because I'm going to talk to you and give you some information so you be ready for it. Okay. Now, the Sufi Sheikhs from the 1200s to the 1700s talked of interstellar travel. They did, brothers and sisters. They wrote about it too. And Allah's creations. I'm going to talk about this in another deeper class. I don't know if my brothers, I'll get to you in comments there, brothers and sisters, please hold fast. There is the interstellar travel that our ancestral brothers and sisters, even among the Afro-Arabs, they traveled up into space. This is important, brothers and sisters, because what is happening now, they've already talked about this in the 1300s when they encountered Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations in the heavens and found them in so much technology where they can master air, they can master the clouds, they can master water. Now, you say, funny. If you looked at Congress here, they had, they just now start to release this on YouTube, maybe because I'm in Morocco. I saw that they gave immunity to the service, the army, all the people who had encounters. Now it came out. One black admiral was talking about on his ship of spaceships passing by him coming through the ocean, okay, near his ship. He also talked about they found one spacecraft that didn't make sense. It did not have no gasoline. It didn't have no propulsion system that they used. So what did they use? Again, Ibn Arabi, a great Sufi Shaykh, talked about encountering these individuals who had some sorts of power where they can manipulate the air. They could travel in the air and they could manipulate it. This has been confirmed by this black admiral, African-American admiral. I don't call them Kim to you. I call them African-American, because their culture and so forth is, but I won't get deeper into that, but you understand what I'm talking about. So these Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations, I don't like to use the word alien, extraterrestrial, all these type of, I don't really like that because Subhanahu wa ta'ala calls them Allah's, creations, his creations. This is better because it's like we demeaning them, alien, extraterrestrial, and all that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says his creations. So this is a important aspect right here, brothers and sisters. They encountered these people. And I'm going to give you a document of one of our African Kimtiyo scholars who interviewed some of our African ancestors who in turn talked about this issue. And the information they were given, this is again ma'arifa, where divine knowledge sent from subhanahu wa ta'ala to the angels. The angels then instill it into the heart, into the mind of individuals that subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses. And the Muslims were famous for this. No different than the Sufi masters who walked across the Sahara with the lions and hyenas and so forth and so on. Let's honor our guests here. We have here our brothers here. Our brothers. How you doing, my dear brother? Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much for showing up. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for showing up. And he says that there is a new that came out. It doesn't support Central African civilizations. No, that's not. No. That's wrong, my dear brother. You should go back. If you saw my classes, I gave you the royal mummies and their the EM series. The EM series you find among West Africans like myself across the corridor, from the middle corridor to the western corridor. You'll find the Mende Mendinka, Sire, doggone, you name it, all the way across. Ethnic groups have EM series. So, but they did try to use the remains of Romans and Greeks and Assyrians to say this is but they minus the royal mummies. So that is not very true. And if you've been looking at our dear brother, he's not here yet. But anyway, I'm not going to get deep into that today because we're not talking about that. So please stay on topic. We're not talking about that. I've covered this over and over again. So my dear brother, go back and look at those tapes. I'm not going to cover it here. Not today. Anjarama, thank you, my dear brother, for showing up. Okay. Thank you, my dear brother. Oh, hey, how you doing? Assalamu alaikum, my dear cousin. Thank you very much for showing up today. Okay. So now let's go into this further. Many of our Sufi Shaykhs talked about these subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations who defy gravity and air. Others manipulating water and clouds. Some defy time and space. This is interesting because now that you see the scientists, astrophysics talked about, we look at it and we start talking about these comets have been traveling for 22,000 years. But in their technology, it's only months. See, this is what is very interesting because they have this technology where they can mess with time. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them this power. So they can travel to a place in a very limited time. For us, because we don't have this technology, what this technology must be, it must be some portals of some sort in the interstellar space where if it takes you 22,000 years to get there because of the light years, but you travel through some portal, you're there in a couple of months. They seem to have this particular power. Then we have the Kimtiyu. They've explained about Sirius. Why I'm going to get into this? Because our brothers talked about this. Brothers, sisters, I want you to think about this. The Americans, the Canadians, and the Europeans said they had people abducted from a solar system. You may not have heard of it before, but you heard me talk about it sometimes, from the reticulum star system, which is approximately 39.9 light years away from Earth, from our Earth. And they originated from a system within it called Zeta Reticulum. And our Kimtiyo brothers and sisters from Morocco to South Africa had their contentions and their contacts with those from Sirius. So I want you to see that. You look up and pull these little gray men and so forth. You see movies, they talk about abductions, even in Russia. But in Africa, in here, okay, the land of the black man, the Kimtiyu, we had our dealings with Sirius. And also in Jazira Arab, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Quran, which I'll get into here in a few minutes. The Fulani, Fula, Fota, Kunda, all the ethnic groups, these in particular, talked about their times in the Sahara, being guided by lights and stars in location. Now, yeah, you can read the stars, but they're talking about special stars that seem to float and guide them to locations and bringing them to locations in a very, very short period of time. Now, you heard me talk about some of this. I'm giving you even more information, what was told to me by my famous, my grand Baba, who I miss dearly, who passed away here, about almost 2 decades now. And talking about the guided lights and stuff without a compass. The light shot through and appeared and directed them to areas where to go in the Sahara. And this is very, very interesting. They talk about sudden beacons of light and beautiful lights appearing. They saw the lights, and it's like someone was talking to them and told them, this is region that you go to. A famous story of this was one Fulani Sufi Shaykh. I haven't talked about this situation because I was given 20 stories. He was walking across, and it was getting dark. Suddenly he had gotten, again, a divine message, which we call ma'arifa in the Arabic language, and the Sufi ways and means. He was given this information to go and assist some people. When he looked up, he was being guided and showing him, and he followed the star that was, he said, had descended, and a light with it had descended close. And it guided him. When he got to this region, there were people who were dying because they got misorientated and so forth and so on, and he saved them. So all this stuff is very, very interesting. Now, for science has now discovered, which has caused them confusion about the recent developments of the so-called comets, because our brothers had already talked about these things. They talked about the so-called comets. They talked about the Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations and so forth, how some were masters of air, some were masters of water, some were masters of time. And they could travel from one solar system to another solar system in within very short period of time, which would take us thousands of years to get to. They're getting to there within 30 days or less. Reason why they're having a hard time with this, brothers and sisters, because their belief system is such that they believe in science. They do not believe in Allah. Some also know that our Kimtiyu ancestors had already revisited this issue, and they don't want to talk about that. For the Sirius star system and the Zeta Reticulum star system in recent times have been behind many mysteries plaguing mankind. This is all related, because I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about these two comets. What is happening if you have been following these two comets, one the Atlas and the other one the Swan. Now the Swan has suddenly appeared and is falling behind the tail of the Atlas. Both are very close to the sun, and they're supposed to rotate or go near the sun, and they'll be blocked out, which is very interesting. Now the scientists are starting to discover, especially with Atlas, that it has its way of even changing its own direction. That's not a comet. And they're finding like emissions coming out from Atlas, and the changing of colors and so forth and so on. And now even one famous has contended, he believes it is Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, is a starship of some sort. Others now contend that the big one coming, the Swan, is 100 times bigger than the Atlas. So if you want to look at it in this sense, let me see if I can get, if I can find them in here. Oh, where are you guys at? No, that's not it. Oh boy. Okay, I can't. Anyway, this is this give you this is like a dramatation of what is actually happening. This comet is now changed colors to a green color and is racing through the solar system at a clip that a comet should not be able to do. And another factor that, again, that Ibn Arabi and some of our Fulani Sufi Sheikhs had talked about is that the material that was used by these creations, what they used for their starships. Now we confirm that they found this one and the other one who's coming behind it, this Atlas that is made of nickel, as though it's protective. This nickel should have iron with it, and it doesn't. So that means it was created, because if you look at the physics, all the comets have, if you have nickel, there's iron with it. The comets who have been coming through this solar system for thousands of years. And when we found them, we know what they are. These two here have defied that because they have nickel base, their materials nickel base, and there's no iron, which is impossible. It can be created, yes, if you go to a place to create it. So that's why they believe this, it was created. And the compulsion that is delivered, they're changing speeds. A comet can't do that. This is what is also interesting about this. So now they are talking about a situation where it may be a possible collision between the two. This second one, Swan, the 32 Swan, I think that's what they call it, now has appeared out of nowhere and is falling behind the tail. Some say it could be a collision because both of them are on the same course going directly to the sun. How can that be? See, so these are fascinating issues. We get to our comments here, then we okay. My brother, I think you're a little off base here. Please clean up some of this because you're kind of off base. Well, alaikum salam. Thank you, my dear brother, for showing up today. Yeah, Matthew, please clean up this falling star to locate Jesus alayhi salam. Yes, but we're not getting to that because that is a whole separate issue in itself. We have something going on in our solar system today that we have to pay attention to because it's very close to the Earth. And if these things had actually had its trajectory, it could come to Earth, but it's not, because we're Muslims and our Prophet ﷺ got instructions from Subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about when we will be destroyed and so forth and so on. And it's not going to be this way. So we should understand that. Now, let's talk about this. Our ancestral Fulani and Afro-Arab Sheikh Sufi Sheikhs talked about this. And they said that the guardians of the Sirius star system are members of a galaxy of different entities protecting their regions and protecting the solar systems. This falls in line with because the divine knowledge that many of our Kimtiyu ancestors and Fulani and Afro-Arab Sufi Sheikhs got information like this, talking about the Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala created what is called a supreme creative forces of these galaxies and about creating and maintaining the galaxy. This is why you see these particular crafts, they're massive and they have protective outering that even the solar, the sun's solar wind, which is will blow away everybody and destroy, it's blocked. This thing's passed by and a solar wind has hit it and bounced right off, which is literally impossible to do. And here they're talking about these native spirits. Again, spirits meaning in this sense, what we talked about a little bit before, which I will get into another time. Ba, remember, which is the soul, because it's the soul that is traveling through the galaxy and through the universe. It's not the spirit. The spirit is related to the earth, which they call Ka. And in the Arabic language, we call this nefs. And in the Arabic language, we call Ruh for the soul, which is up into the heavens. And so they are talking about this issue here. The purpose of creating a galaxy is to allow diverse beings from all over realms existing to have experiences in physicality. These beings, incarnate in physical bodies, again, in different star systems and have unique experiences that allows learning to take place. These incarnated beings in different systems have become known as various extraterrestrial groups. See, now, this is coming from our ancestors who already revisited this situation. From this, and this, our Kempti scholar interviewed some about this, and they took this information from way back. Again, Ma'arifa is what we call this, where Subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to the Malaika, which you call in Arabic language the angels that then give this information to who he wants, as he wills. So now, in order to supervise the hierarchies of natural spirits, as well as watch over and provide guidance to current, you can read this and you can see what I'm talking about. This is what's happening, brothers and sisters. When they talk about this issue today, the confusion lies because you hear one said they come from this solar system. The other one said it's coming from this solar system. Others said we don't know where it's coming from. And I'm contending that it's coming from, my contention is coming from Sirius. Why I said that? Because our African ancestors said that Sirius was and will return. And we have also, which I will get into here, a class of warriors coming from Sirius who have already visited, Africa, or Afro-Aka, many names we use and so forth to describe our beautiful continent. They've already came here. And one of our African ancestors in the South Central talked about a warrior class coming in a very well-guarded spacecrafts. And they were warrior classes, and they were designed to protect Sirius and the solar system. The Sufi Shaykhs contend as well is that these, what you see today, are protective ships to send a message to us. All this nuclear, all this crap that's going on from the Tubab, Western powers want to destroy the Earth, wanting to send, even now they're talking about sending nukes into the interstellar space and let them detonate. And if you know anything, have any physics classes, if they do something like this, do you know the repercussions that it will cause? It will float into other solar systems. Our Sufi Shaykh Islams and our ancestral African Kempti ancestors revisited this issue, talking about a warrior class who appeared inside Ifriqiya. Africa, talking about this protection. Now you read here where he interviewed. This has been handed down, just like Mr. Coetzee, when I was in 2002, handed stories down to me about how it was handled. This is going back thousands, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, handed down each time. Now we found two craft that doesn't make sense. But this Jewish famous astrophysics believe they are alien craft. That's what the word they use. Allah's creation, these are crafts because of the way it's built. It's built to withstand even the solar wind, which is impossible. Anything the solar wind hits is going to destroy or leave it badly damaged at least. Here, it bounced off the Atlas. It bounced off. See? And this coincides with our ancestral brothers who said that these warrior classes are in special ships that are untouchable. You can't blow them out. I don't care if you use nukes or whatever, you cannot blow them out. You cannot hurt them. And I'll get back to this because it's still on topic. One brother went to jail over this. I used to follow him. He's back and forth now on YouTube. I don't know how long he spent, but he exposed and he showed it, that it was a video leaked to him by somebody in NASA or the defense, or I don't know who, this is almost about 10 years ago now, where there was secret tests being conducted on the moon. So they went on the dark side of the moon and they found the crater, and they decided they were going to shoot a nuke inside the crater just to see if it works, what would happen, so forth and so on, because they want to use it on Earth. What happened was Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's creations, which we know they're there on the moon, on the dark side. We know they're there. They blew this spacecraft, and as the nukes were shot, they destroyed the nukes and they destroyed the craft. He was put in jail for this. And it came out in the news and everything else. And of course, they denied this. So this is a very interesting development. And as we go further, the guardians are neither natural spirits or regular creations. Rather, they are like something in between. Again, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala created them. They enforce the rules of the creation. Again, they're working on behalf of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. He is the creator. Now this is related. Brothers and sisters, why do you think Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and we'll get into that, talks about this issue? He talks about his power. He governs all. This is why I said to you, these scientists are running amok, talking about these things are going to get ready to run into the earth and destroy the earth. No, because Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is governing all things. And these extraterrestrials, as they call them, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's creation is now coming to our solar system to protect it from these Tubab Western forces who want to nuke everything and kill off everything, send even the nukes into the space, and so forth. That's why it's all related. They also were told that they enforce the rules of creation as set up by the supreme creative forces. Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is given these powers. That's why, brothers and sisters, the Sufi masters explained to us and left us this information. Why Subhanahu wa Ta'ala created some of these creations who were masters of earth and water. Others were masters of time. Others are masters of other elements that don't make sense to us. Others can have access to portals where they can go in between in dimensions. They can change from one, they can look like a man in 1 minute, then go to another dimension and look like some kind of a reptilian or something like this. All of these various forms like this, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is behind it. And they exist to please Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and to protect. There are different kinds of guardians: celestial guardians, solar guardians, and planetarian guardians, as you can imagine. Now, again, the Sufi masters are talking about what has been told to them, which now we're starting to see. We're starting to see all of a sudden massive, quote unquote, comets running through our system. This is one after the other. And they defy all of the astrophysics that we understand, and also the how it's made up. It doesn't make sense, because if you have nickel, nickel has to have iron. And since these crafts don't have no iron at all, it's all nickel, and able to bounce off solar wind. And these things can change direction and change speed. That's not a comet. It's not a comet. So I wanted to give you this situation so that you guys can see this. This may be mundane, and a lot of people may not care about this. But you as Muslims, you should, because this falls in line, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I'll cover here, Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this issue in the Quran. So now you have that information. Now you can start making sense about what you see. These Tubab and Jewish scientists are running amok trying to figure this out. They don't know what to say anymore. They are telling you it comes from this solar system, it's come from this solar system. My contention, brothers and sisters, is not coming from what they said. They said it's coming. All of a sudden, all the technology we have, we're looking and we're covering our solar system. You're going to try to tell me that they don't know where this craft, this all of a sudden somebody wake up and say, hey, guess what? The guys showed up here today. They have been seeing these things come from solar systems, and they know where it's coming from, but they don't want to tell us that. That's why it's confusing. That's why when you look at it, you see, you get tired. You listen to NASA, you listen to these guys over here. This one is saying this, and all these are all over the place, and you just get tired. That's what they want you to do. But, brothers and sisters, they said that that this swan is coming from a different direction towards the sun. The Zeta Reticulum is on one side, okay? It's on one side, and this is still reticulum, and we have Sirius. It's on the other side. Sirius is 6 point something light years. It's not far away. Zeta is 39 light years from us. Atlas appeared, and now here's Atlas. They come from two different areas coming towards the sun. My contention is that one is coming from Sirius and the other one is coming from Zeta Reticulum, which I just showed you, which I believe is coming from here. If you look at the scientists, they keep trying to tell you from some galaxy way out. One, they said, has been traveling for 22,000 years. They confuse you. Because again, brothers and sisters, if you listen to the Sufi Shaykhs, they talk about, and we confirm, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about these creations, that he's given them power to master time. Meaning, we talking about light years away. Some light years, it take us 1 million years to get there. For these particular creations, it take them weeks or months to get to a location. All of this, brothers and sisters, is very, very interesting. Now, let's get to what Subhanahu wa ta'ala says. When the great Tubab scientists, astrophysics, talk about their discoveries, the Sufi masters, and the greatest of all Sufi masters or scholars, is the prophet, our Nabi, alayhi salatu salam. Subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him here that we built the universe with great might, and we are certainly expanding it. In recent times now, we've learned that our universe is expanding. But these scientists don't have no religious background. Perhaps they are Eurocentric Christians. They go to church every Sunday, but they're not in the correct belief systems. Because if they were, they would have known that Subhanahu wa ta'ala already told our Nabi over 1400 years ago this situation. And also in the Mehr Neher, we talked about the prophet who taught our Kimtiyu ancestors, who got his divine knowledge, Ma'rifa, talking about issues like this as well. Here, Subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that he's expanding the universe. So now when you see these guys talk about the universe expanding, now you're talking about like they made some discovery. Why? Because they don't believe in anything except their power and science. We've already talked about this 1400 years ago. The Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this knowledge to the greatest of all Sufis and the greatest of all the prophets, Muhammad, alayhi salam, which he gave a mystery. He solved a mystery about the universe. And now, recent times, they just now discovered it is expanding. Also, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show you that he's telling you about there's creations of his. Among the signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth and all living beings. Now, think about this, brothers and sisters. You see, sometimes he really saddens me, brother, the great, brilliant astrophysics. I can't think. I always get his name mixed up every time. Oh man, that brother, I can't think of his name. He's got a station too. I can't think the brother's name now. He makes light. He made a comment, and I wanted to take him to task to it, but I said I'm not going to argue with him. He was talking about the issue like this by saying that when man can't explain something, we invent a God. And I don't know what the Malaika, when they write about him, why he said what he said, because he's like denouncing the Nabi alayhi salam, because the Nabi alayhi salam had already given this when well before he was even created. When he went to school and got all his degrees, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the knowledge already to the greatest of all men, of mankind, a man, or Nabi, and gave him information already that he just now recently discovered. All living beings, he's dispersed throughout both, meaning I dispersed those, Thomas Subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the heavens and on earth, confirming what we talked about, brothers and sisters, that these things are not coming into our solar system. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is behind it. He authorized it. And he's the most capable of bringing all together whenever he wills. Meaning, brothers and sisters, the tafsir that many of our Islamic scholars have talked about is that he was saying that these beings, these creations that we know of in the space, if he decides for us to meet, he will let us meet. So this is, again, evidence. Now, let's see if I get the first one. The day reveals. Okay, let me see. I won't give you all the series. I'm going to go through this pretty fast. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is again talking about the issue about his creation and about the earth and so forth. It's his creation. And he talks about him creation. This is Surah Sems, which is 91. And the one that is the most famous of it all is the contention that that number 5 here at the bottom, and by heaven and the one who built it, meaning again Subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why I'm saying, brothers and sisters, to make sense of all of this information that you see on YouTube now, all these astrophysics, NASA, all of these organizations, world organizations who don't believe in nothing except their own power, so to speak, and they don't believe in Subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're talking about all of these discoveries. I've given you these discoveries right now, which was written 1400 years ago. and also our Sufi masters who travel under Ba, under Ruh. Their souls travel because subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ma'aruf, ma'arifa, give them this knowledge so their souls can travel into interstellar space. And he met with these particular creatures and they gave them this information about them. Now we're starting to see this with these two so-called comets. I'll get you the comment here in a minute. Please hold fast there, my dear brother. So this is a big contention, brothers and sisters. Again, and Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his power, how he guards it. He gives us the light. He gives us the because it's all related. Who is doing this? As these scientists are talking, they're making it sound like it's coming from something out of somewhere. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is behind it because he's telling you I'm behind it. See, he's already told you I created creatures in the heavens and I created creatures on earth. And it's him who will allow us to meet. And also our Sufi masters and our ancestral brothers told you in this particular conversation that Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this ma'arifa to many and told them what he's doing to protect the solar system. See, so this is all very, very interesting. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Okay, yeah. The Lord is okay. Now, brothers, sisters, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, our you ancestors were really high on this, on Sirius. So were those in Jazira Arab as well, in many parts of the world. But Sirius became a factor when the Greeks and the Romans came to Tamari, to Egypt, as you know today. And they learned about the solar systems that they didn't know anything about. And so Subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you here in Surah Najm, which means stars in Arabic language, in Quranic Arabic. He tells you here that it's he who is the Lord of Sirius, because Sirius is a very important factor in Africa, in Africa, coming from Morocco, where I live today, all the way to our Zulu brothers down to the south. So this is what again, why I'm making sense of all of this. Why these scientists talking all this about their discoveries. Because they don't have a belief system. That's why many Muslims just turn this off, because they don't, but they themselves are guilty of not having this knowledge. The Sufi master, what makes him different from our Islamic scholars, because both of them are Muslims. One is a scholar on he's got taught by himself and from the Quran and the Sunnah and from the book. The Sufi master, the Sufi Shaykh, is taught the same thing, except he's given a deeper insight. And that's why his knowledge is different, what they call ma'arifa. Now you understand the difference. And he talks again in another surah about, again, the stars and so forth and so on. And it goes on and on, brothers and sisters, to show you the proof about this. And I just talked about that, showed that. And we got a question here, or let me see. We got a brother here. Women, excuse me. Let's get to our brother here. He's just okay. Our brother, walaikum salam. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much for showing up today, my dear brother from Malaysia. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much for showing up today. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Salam alaikum. Jazakallah khairan, Aki. And some Sufi Muslims, they deny, yes, but that's a different class. I'll get into the dereliction of what happened. And I'm using Sufi as a guide because people understand. If you say Sufi, they understand. If I start talking about other things, which is the correct, they won't understand that. So I use the word Sufi. But yes, they deny certain things. Also, we know many are involved in bid'ah, but that's a different course in itself, which I will cover at a later time. B'yifnillah, talking about the problems within, quote unquote, the tasawwuf. I will talk about that and how some of the Sufi sheikhs now are trying to bring them back to the Sharia, Allah, which is a condition of, quote unquote, Sufism in English, mutasawwuf, what we call it in the Arabic language. And our brothers get walaikum salam. Thank you, my dear brother, again for showing up today. So now you have this, brothers and sisters, and I wanted to get you to understand what I'm telling you again, in my opinion, they're not telling us the truth. We know NASA and many of these European, space agencies are liars and full of deception because they don't want the public to actually know what's going on. And now we got the glimpse because Congress gave immunity. Now many service people, even the admiral who was commanding a boat, talked about the Allah's creations that came out of the ocean in spacecraft. So these two so-called comets are advanced spacecraft. They aren't comets, since they have the ability to it's supposed to be regulate their speed and trajectory. A comet can't do that, brothers and sisters. A comet can't go 130 miles per second and suddenly change it to some other trajectory. They can't. But these two can. And they have the ability to block the sun's solar wind. This is impossible. But they show now when they brought the probes, and the probes showed them coming through and showing that the solar wind hitting the atlas and bouncing it off. And when they examined the outer body of this quote unquote comet, they found it to be nickel. Nickel has to have iron. Here, there's no iron to it, which defies all logic. Because, yes, again, if you manufacture something, you can manufacture something without the iron. But most comets all have nickel and iron together. In order for you to have nickel without the iron, you have to process it. So who processed this to make this this spacecraft like this? See, so these issues, brothers and sisters, I'm giving you something so it'll help you to understand, these issues and so forth and so on. The Muslims had already had these things already under their belt. They've already talked about these issues. And they talked about many issues that these guys are talking about in YouTube today. And one, I even gave him something I wrote to him. He was talking and he was, giving his spiel about what's going on. I told him, look, here. He didn't get back to me because he saw my picture in YouTube and he probably figured out, this black man, since I'm not a graduate of Yale University or something, they dismiss as ignorant. But when I told him something, I didn't have to get it from Yale. I didn't have to get it from Brown University. I didn't get it from Oxford. I got it from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. I gave him something to look up. And I asked him a question. You said, I'm talking about him. He said that it came from Sagittarius or some solar system out there, which is a lie. And they know it's a lie. and they trying to say all of a sudden they wake up and there it is. They know where it came from. My contention again, brothers and sisters, is the new one, the 32 Swan, that's what they call, is suddenly coming. It's coming directly at the Atlas. Both of them are aiming, going towards the sun. One's coming from one direction and the other is coming from the other direction. If you look at a radar map, Sirius is here and Zeta Reticulum is here. Both had a lot of dealings with the Earth. I believe these two crafts are from those respective solar systems. My opinion, because our ancestral brothers here in Africa are Muslim ancestors, as well. Some of our learned, they were gifted with ma'arifa, and they talked about this situation of a guardianship. Even some scientists here in the United States said that there is such a thing. Well before they have discovered that, we had discovered this hundreds and hundreds of years already. That one Jewish scientist who has been silenced said there was a federation of planets that United States is part of now, and Russia as well. And he keep it secret. He exposed it by saying that this federation is designed to protect the universe and the adjoining solar systems. Our brothers said this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe about 1,000 years before that. And before that, Subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about this situation in the Quran by the verses I gave you. This is why I'm saying I'm trying to give the Muslims something to make sense of all of this. Now you have it. Again, our Sufi ancestors and our Sufi Shaykh Islams and some of our learned African Kimtiyu scholars gifted what ma'arifa, which is a divine knowledge. It's different from book knowledge. When you hear a black man, a Kimti from America or from someplace, a Kimti, and he denounces his African ancestors by saying that they are wrong, or they are talking out of their head because they didn't get it from a book, you should denounce them, because they don't understand. They don't have the knowledge that ma'arifa, they get divine knowledge. This is divine knowledge, brothers and sisters. And now it's confirmed because the scientists who have been shut up, especially this famous scientist from Israel who talked about this, he revealed it. He gave it out. He said, yes, there's a confederation. Our ancestors already talked. Here we are here, where he interviewed some of the famous Sufi masters, Shaykh Islam, and some Kimtiyu scholars who said that a supreme creative forces of the galaxies and about creating and maintaining the galaxies. Now you make sense of this, brothers and sisters. These two that you see today are these crafts that our ancestor brothers is talking about, and Subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about in the Quran, 1400 years or more in the Quran. Now you have it, brothers and sisters. You got this information. Now you can make sense of this. I know many people won't see this because I know YouTube is in the business now of, I only have 5 views here and there, 10 views. I know there's hundreds, maybe thousands of viewing, but they want to make sure, because they want to send me a message. One, the Tubab did send me a message already before, weeks back, talking about, we don't want to hear what you have to say. We're going to make sure that nobody hears what you say. And we know he had to be part of YouTube because he wrote it to me and then he quickly took it. So now you have this information, brothers and sisters. And now you have it. And I'm hoping that you guys do start doing your research, and now you start to understand what is happening in our solar system is something. And here's another issue, brothers and sisters. What's make this so fascinating? They say by October the 2nd, I believe, or is it late? I can't remember. These two spacecrafts, not comets, will descend into Earth's gravity, okay? And they will go to a position around the sun, which blocks our view. So we're not going to know what happened between the two crafts. One coming from my contention, from Zeta Reticulum. My contention is one that's now the new one coming. They call it the 32 Swan, is coming from there. The Atlas, I believe, is coming from the warrior ship that our ancestors talked about from Central Africa, talked about them. A warrior ship designed to protect the universe. And this one, Atlas, is coming from Sirius, and the other is coming from Reticulum. That's why they come from two different directions almost simultaneously. Impossible, brothers and sisters, that comets can do this. It's impossible. And then change trajectory to where they now will go to a position when they meet around the side of the sun that will block us, so we won't be able to see what happens when they actually meet. Comets can't do this. They just cannot. So we're not going to know when they descend from this area of the sun. We don't know what's going to happen. Either they can go to another direction, or they can just disappear altogether. That's why the scientists now are saying they don't know what's going to happen. But now you have it from your brother here. This is the Sufi Mutasawwif response for this, and a Muslim response for this. Now you have understanding, because why? Because we believe in Subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he said, I created the beings of the heavens and on the earth, you know it's true. This is why we say in the Arabic language, Sadaqallah al-Din. What Subhanahu wa ta'ala said is true. Why you heard me say many times on my own as a Muslim, as a Muslim, I always say, Indani akulu ma yakul. I say what it says, talking about the Quran, what Subhanahu wa ta'ala says. I say what the Prophet say. I like to use that phrase. Why? Because it confirms my faith that I believe in Subhanahu wa ta'ala and his book. And I believe in our Prophet Nabi, alayhi salatu salam. That's why I say, Innani akulu ma yakul, in the Arabic language, to say, I believe in Subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he says. Now, I gave you the evidence today, brothers and sisters. I gave you evidence. Now you can look at it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, I created the creations in the heavens, and I created those on earth. The scientists are running around talking about this, talking about that, as though they don't know how this came about. Subhanahu wa ta'ala has already told the Muslims how this came about. Even our ancestor brothers in Tamari and Kemt said in hieroglyphics about this issue as well. See, we have caves in North Africa showing these spacecrafts as well. We have monoliths that the Europeans took, the Tubab historians and soldiers, when they found them, who were pointing towards Sirius or Orion or to some solar system, and with inscriptions on it, they took it. They didn't want no evidence that our Kimtiu ancestors had contact with Sirius. So they took the monuments and put them on a boat. You saw my class where they put them on this big ship. They took them from inland, even from Morocco, they took them. So they took all of them through Africa. When they heard they found one, they took it. Fascinating. We got a couple more comments here. Here, our brother here says here, we have, about the malays in the ancient time. We have a story about speaker coming down from the sky to the earth. And yes, it's true. We know that because even in Papua New Guinea, they were saying, there's one ethnic group that's in the highlands in Papua New Guinea. Anyone knows where it is? That's in the South Pacific. You see Indonesia, you see Papua New Guinea. They say every day they have watchers watching for the look in the sky, waiting for the craft to come back down to Earth. Interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. And our brother here told the truth, because we have stories of that in Asia as well of this. How can I download this teachings to post to my YouTube? Yes, I think you can. You subscribe to my station, my dear brother, and then you send me some your particulars. I did put. I don't know if my comments. I think they've been removed. Yeah, they've been removed. I have my WhatsApp channel, and I'm hoping. I don't know if my WhatsApp. No, it's not. I can't. No, it's not there. The WhatsApp station as well. I'm going to put that, and I can give you, if you subscribe to my WhatsApp station, you can download this and some of my other ones, because I always put it in my station, because I have problems with YouTube, and YouTube doesn't give me the information that I need, and help for people to I have all these subscribers, but nobody gets, information. See, so, and I got a lot of enemies that are assisting the Tubab as well to fight this. And again, like always said, if I'm so ignorant and stupid without education, why are they fighting me? See, this is the issue, and whatnot. And something like this, again, they don't want to see persons like me having this information and whatnot. But I'm giving you information, and I'm giving you this information as your brother, so you guys can do your research to make sense of all of this. You see, you have disbelievers who are on TV talking about all these issues that's going on. They're going crazy. They don't understand what's going on. Where are these special crafts coming from? We already discussed this in the Quran. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this information. Our Sufi masters already talked about information like this. They recently, the Jewish scientist, about 10, I think less than 10 years ago, who said that he revealed about this federation I just talked about, that our Sufi masters talked about hundreds and hundreds of years ago. He revealed that this federation is true. So he confirmed it. That's why I'm trying to make sense of everything so you can understand. Now you get on YouTube and you see this. You got two craft. One coming, which is the Atlas coming from one direction, and the other is coming from another direction. Impossible. And the two are on a course to go to hit at the same time around the sun, and then change direction to a point to where the gravitational pull, where they'll be behind the sun, the sun's glare, so we can't see them, as though they know that we're watching them. By the time they descend from that, we're not going to know what's going to happen. We're not going to know if these two met, if they share information, or if they're combatants, or they're part of confederation that our ancestors talked about. We're not going to know, because we won't be able to see it. When they descend from the orbit of the sun, we're not going to know if they're going to keep on going past our, in our solar system, or they're going to disappear. We don't know. This what makes all this fascinating. And the one scientist who was, I guess he looked at me, and I know, imagine what he could look. He looked at me, see me in a turban, Ema. He saw me, and he probably said, "This black man, this Kempty, I don't need to answer him." But I gave him something. I gave him something, and everyone else in there saw what I gave. I gave him something for him to look at. I gave him evidence for something that he's talking about. I wanted him to respond to me. He didn't. This is coming from an ignorant man, according to the Tubab around here. He said, this man is ignorant and stupid, ignorant, don't know anything. can't read and write. I gave this scientist something. I said, you do your research, give me an answer to this. And yet, he has not responded. He responded to others, but he didn't respond to me. It's interesting, isn't it? So, brothers, sisters, we got brother here. I can download the teaching to. Yeah, yes, you. You know, we are. Please. I got to put my. I don't know how I can get my WhatsApp. I'll get my WhatsApp channel, put it in the comment section, because I did have it. I think in YouTube it showed it there. I don't know if it's there or not, but I gave my WhatsApp. You can get to there, and then you subscribe, and then you can take the video and go from there. And you made a comment here about Papua New Guinea. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Our neighbor. Yes. Yeah. They're the neighbor. I was in the South Pacific. Oh man, 1977, 1978, 1979. In 79, I went to Samoa, American Samoa, and also I was in Fiji. So I was not too far away from there, and that was an experience on itself. I learned to speak the Samoan language and so forth and so on. And I went to Fiji, which are Black people, and I learned of their legends and so forth and so on, and I confirmed their legends. So there's a lot of things that happened. I was a young man at that time. I was not a Muslim. I went to Fiji in 1978 and had the opportunity to speak with some very wise men at that time, and they gave me examples of what happened with them. And all this again is very, 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 very fascinating. I will follow your learned. Okay, yeah, okay, my dear brother. Yes, I did put it in YouTube, but again, I will probably have to go back when I finish here, go back and put it in the comments for those who subscribe to my station, because I know many people are not going to see this station, and I will complain again and tell them, look, I got over 1,200 subscribers, and only a few get my notifications. It's not right. We know what's going on. We know what's happening, and it only shows a couple of views, and that's it. And it stays that way, even though people write to me and tell me they viewed it and so forth and so on, but it only shows 13 or it only shows 20. It's really disgusting. So, brothers and sisters, again, I'll do a short recap, and then I will have to go here because I got to go pray. Our brothers and sisters talked about the issue here, and remember, brothers and sisters, you fight this when you see this, when people who do not understand divine knowledge, because these people who talk don't have divine knowledge. That's why the scientists are going crazy with all analysis, because they don't understand something, and many people will discredit our ancestors and discredit our Sufi Shaykhs as well. And I gave you information to show you that they are far more advanced and had knowledge well before these guys are talking on YouTube today about these issues. So discoveries and I went through that, and we talked about these solar systems you can research. And in the West, and in the West, and the West is the Zeta Reticulum. They said aliens, they said creations visited them and abducted even one African American woman in 1987 who now revealed her story. She said she was sent in outer space with this particular these creations, Zeta Reticulum, and so forth and so on. See, and then all our Kim-Tu ancestors from Morocco all the way down to the Zulus to the south talked about their contacts with Sirius star system. So we talked about that, and so we went through that, and we got to remember something. Our brothers, our Sufi brothers, you know, I don't know what's going on now. There we go. They, you know, are giving us a lot of good information and so forth and so on. And you know, this is again a something that is very, very important for us, so we can have an understanding on what's going on with these two spacecrafts. So I don't know if you can hear, there's a lot of noise in the background here. This is deliberate and so forth and so on, and it's okay. Here's the Sirius star system and Sirius C, which the doggone people said is there, and we talked about that in my classes before, and whatnot, and that is, it's, you know, in itself. The other so-called comet is coming from the reticulum system, which you see in the center here, from the Zeta, which is part of the reticulum star, the constellation. The Zeta Reticulum is, there's two of them and whatnot, and they're coming from this direction. Subhanahu wa ta'ala again made it clear. He talked about the issue of, again, about his power and what he has done to you know, to show us that he's behind the all creations and all things, and we have to see this and respect that, and we should appreciate that Subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this information in the Quran, and so forth and so on. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions again about Sirius because it's very important, because it's very important in Jazeera Arab, and also important here in Africa as we know it. And he talks about I'm the one who is the Lord of this. So we have that. Then we have the important document of what was that our great ancestors had hundreds of years before, hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years before, where they talked about these Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations, how Subhanahu wa ta'ala created these particular forces in the heavens and so forth. This come from Ma'arifa and scholars, and from also wise men and Kiptiyu, wise men talking about this issue here. So now you have that to show well before these guys talking about this issue. We already discussed it, already knew of this way back, hundreds of years, well before all these guys were even born, and their mothers and grandfathers and their descendants were born. We already had this information. So now you have that, brothers and sisters, and I hope you guys get this information and you run with it and so forth and so on, because this information about the comets is very, very, very serious matter, and you should understand it. And don't let these people scare you. Our Prophet gave us a time when the earth will end. When these comets are going back and forth, Subhanahu wa ta'ala is handling that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't tell our Nabi how we're going to end. Because the day that the sun sets to the west, fully set to the west, we will come to the earth as we know it will be destroyed. Scientists now are saying that the sunrise is starting to tilt to the west each day now. So that means we're getting close to Yom Kippur. See, that's right. And they have said recently that the universe is expanding. You saw where Subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that the universe, over 1,400 years ago, the universe was expanding. Well before all these great scientists who are now millionaires now talking on YouTube about their knowledge. We already had this before they had it. So, brothers and sisters, you know, in closing, now you have this information. Please do your research, brothers and sisters, and stay on top of this. And now you have this, you know, and you have this information now, and you guys run with it, and you get it, and you look at it, and please, you know, pray to Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, I'm the one who built the universe. I'm the one who's behind it. I built it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us I built it. It's not NASA. NASA and all these others talking about how it was created and so forth and so on, as though they had a hand in it, or some Tubab had a hand in it. No, it's Subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. It's him. See? And when he says, I'm trying to find it. I don't know. They took it out of here because there was a Yeah, they took it. They took it because I have a verse in the Quran where Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says that if his creations, if he's going to allow us to meet or not. I think I showed it or it's gone. I think it's okay. Here we go. Yes, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala tells us here that his science, his creations of the heaven and earth and all living beings, he dispersed through both. See, all living beings, he said, all living beings that he dispersed through the heavens and through the earth. That gives you indication right now they are there. Don't let these scientists tell you they're not there. DeGrasse is his name. I forgot his name. Is it DeGrasse? No, it's not, I can't think of his name now. The famous African American astrophysicist. He'll try to tell you that this is not possible. That anytime we don't figure out something, that we start talking about Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he's wrong at that. And I never wrote to him. One of these days I'll probably write. He's a very brilliant genius, but his belief system is wrong, and that's why he makes the comments like this and so forth and so on. When he starts to understand in the Quran, how would he explain over 1400 years ago, well before all his ancestors were inside the United States, how before they even had any, how did he Subhanahu wa Ta'ala told us that his creations are in the heaven and earth? See, already. Okay, yeah, I got to get ready to get out of here, brothers and sisters, because I got to make up a slot. But this is important, and Subhanahu wa Ta'ala understands. I'm not trying to be, neglect my responsibilities. I got to go pray here now, and so forth, get cleaned up, and make prayer. But now you have this information, brothers and sisters, and I'm hoping you enjoy this. I'm going to give you my WhatsApp. It should be I put it in YouTube in the comment section there. And I'm hoping it's there. If it's not, I'll put it in there for you to get it. And you guys, and those who want to follow, please follow me. And please subscribe to the station as well and whatnot. This is a very important talk, brothers and sisters, because this is right on topic. And it gives you the Islamic point of view about what has happened, giving you the proof that we already had this information well before these guys on YouTube are talking now. And my contention is finally is that the two quote unquote comets, one is coming from Sirius, and the other one I think is coming from Zeta Reticuli, because they're coming. I'm like the sun. Say I'm the sun. They're coming this way. Impossible for comets to do this. Then they're going to meet up, and they're going to transfer on the side of the sun that will block us from viewing what happens when the two will meet. Impossible. These are comets. Comets can't do that. The comets don't have this type of compulsion and a mind of its own to change its trajectory when it wants. It doesn't. And all comets are made of nickel and iron. These are made of nickel, and they can withstand solar wind. There's something to this. Now you have it. Now you understand it. Now you understand what has happened here. And now you understand Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is behind this. You know this now. And you know our ancestors and our Sufi masters talked about this issue already. They already talked about this issue and told us about what's going on here. And now you have it. So when you see YouTube and see this, you already know your Sufi ancestral sheikhs talked about this issue, about the creations in the heavens. And then also our wise men talked about this issue. So now you can debunk the scientists, which they're doing a great job, but they are lost as far as the because they don't have a belief system, and they're causing a lot of confusion. That's why I look at this. I give you as a Muslim, so that way you can go back and say, hey, now I understand what he's talking about. Now I understand he's saying this and that, because the Quran, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said that. Our Sufi masters said that. Now you have that information. Review this again, brothers and sisters. And I got to go here now. And I've got one more comment. Let me view this comment here, and then I will go here. Okay, let's see here what our brothers said here. Boy, this is not acting right. Boy, I don't understand why think so. Yeah, thank you very much, my dear brother, for showing up today. Thank you. I hope you do come back again, and please follow my station, and I'll get the information out and spread it to our brothers there in Malaysia. And you're always welcome, my dear brother, for my programs and so forth, and even getting a hold of me if you need something from me and whatnot. So with that said, brothers and sisters, I must go now and whatnot. And please review this again and spread this and whatnot and review it, get the evidence, look at it, review what I just said, and so forth and so on. This to help you to discern what's going on today. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.